Taking away my bell got my manager fired. Original post. I'm a night auditor at a hotel. My job mostly consists of sitting in the back, watching the cameras, printing out papers for accounting, and assisting guests who arrive in the dead of night. I work from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and am generally alone in the building, except for security, who is just one guy that only mostly shows up for his scheduled shifts. This job has been perfect for me. I struggle in most workplaces due to my blend of disabilities, which make waking up on time extremely difficult. Even showing up to work can be a challenge. And when I do, I often struggle to keep up with workloads. Because I work at night, I don't have to worry about oversleeping. And since my job primarily involves printing papers and customer service, I don't have to stress about being overwhelmed. My previous manager encouraged me to bring my switch to work because it can get extremely boring. She made it clear that as long as I wasn't bothering guests, was on time, and got my work done, it didn't really matter what I did. She also mentioned that there was a bell in the dining area that the cooks used, and I could place it at the front desk so guests could easily alert me when they needed assistance while I was in the back. However, my previous manager left the company about a month ago, and our new front desk manager is an external hire. She sent her first message to the team about a week ago, and about 70% of it was her ranting about how unacceptable the use of the bell was. When she saw my sign that said, "Please ring the bell for service," she announced that anyone using the bell would receive a write-up. I have pretty severe ADHD, which significantly impacts my work performance. I don't always check the cameras frequently, so I can't always tell when a guest arrives at the front desk. While I'd love to get medication to help, the waiting list for evaluation is 1.5 years long. Since I just got approved for company health insurance, I still have a long wait ahead of me. Maybe it sounds silly, but that bell is a huge help. It's quiet, distinctive, and immediately lets me know when I need to get up and assist someone. I haven't told my manager that it helps with my disability, but I did mention that it's useful for me. Regardless, if I don't have a bell out there for guests to use, there are only 3 possible outcomes when someone arrives at the front desk. The guest waits until I check the cameras, which could take a while because, again, memory issues. The guest walks into an employee-only area to look for me, inevitably scaring the heck out of me and looking extremely unprofessional. The guest yells, "Hello," to try to get someone's attention. None of these scenarios are ideal. To me, the easiest and most logical solution is to allow guests to ring a bell to notify me politely. However, my manager has made it crystal clear that this will not be happening, and I really don't want to get written up. While I could sit at the front desk all night, that would mean I wouldn't be able to monitor the cameras at all. Additionally, I wouldn't feel safe doing so. The front desk is positioned directly in front of a massive window, and we're in a shady part of town. I know I would have people coming in to harass me. It's happened before. I just want to keep the stupid bell. I don't understand why it's such a big deal if it helps me do my job more efficiently. But I don't know how to explain to my manager that a $5 bell from Amazon is an effective disability aid without sounding ridiculous. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Your manager is a moron. It's not even a disability aid, it's a common-sense good service tool for after hours. I'd write a message to your manager saying how helpful you find the bell and outline exactly the points in your last paragraph. How being at the desk and an invitation to non-guests to try and get in, security issue. Maybe get the security staff to sign off that they agree having you waiting in the back is safer, and that you'd lose access to the cameras. Definitely mention previous examples of sexual harassment. Then say how customers seem to appreciate having a way to get your attention. That way, customers can feel like they are getting service, started even before you come out of the back. Make it clear that you are trying to figure out how to offer customers the best experience possible. I'd CC their boss, owner, regional manager, whoever. Do not address their boss, but put them on the email. Just address your manager and say how you want to give customers the best service possible. And if your bell is going to be taken away, you'd like them to help you come up with alternative solutions. I'm sure a huge part of her reasoning is that, because she's new and an external hire, she feels the need to establish authority. Stupid office politics. Thanks for the advice. I always struggle to phrase things professionally. Fortunately, I have a good rapport with the general manager. The moron is just the front desk manager, not the GM. So I think she'll see my side of things. Now for the first update. So, I guess I'm kind of looking for help. I think I might have dug myself into a hole here, and I really need this job. So back in September, my manager left for another job. Everyone was heartbroken, but of course we all wished her the best, and she left on good terms. For about 2 months, the front desk reported directly to the general manager, GM, who became less and less responsive to messages and calls. At one point, a guest approached me, complaining that their car had been stolen from our parking garage. They had been promised they would get to speak with the GM about the incident, but she never showed up. I sent an email to the GM immediately, furious that she had not responded to the guest and upset that my repeated calls to her over the last 2 weeks had been ignored. I told her she had to come in that day to discuss things with the guest, as they were checking out the next morning. I also said I expected an update since it happened during my shift, and I needed to know how to respond to similar situations in the future. I got no response, and she did not come to the hotel that day, so I emailed HR, letting them know I was unable to get in touch with her and needed assistance as soon as possible. That finally lit a fire under the GM, and the situation was eventually dealt with, though I never got my update. Then about a month and a half ago, we got a new front desk manager, who I'll call Mary. Her introduction to the team was off-putting. She started with a standard introduction, but then immediately went on a rant about the bell. She saw my sign that said, "Please ring the bell for service," and went off about how it was ludicrous and absurdly unprofessional. She said she had thrown the sign away and that if she ever saw something like that again, the person responsible would face disciplinary action. Additionally, she took away the keyboards for the computers in the back office, making them functionally unusable for everyone else. This was, of course, an absolute power trip. A bell is a normal thing to see at a hotel front desk, but even putting that aside, it has been a game changer for my disability. I have really bad time blindness and often forget to check the cameras for extended periods. The bell is the only thing that immediately gets my attention and gets me to the front desk right away. I figured that if I explained this to Mary, she'd understand, so I sent her a message clarifying that the bell helps me with my disability. I didn't go into too many details, just told her that I can be forgetful, and the bell ensures I don't miss guests when I'm in the back office. I also mentioned that I would like access to the back office computers again. Mary responded that it doesn't matter, I am not allowed to use the bell. I reminded her that as a disabled employee, I am entitled to reasonable accommodations, but she wasn't having it. She demanded that I get a doctor's note for the stupid bell or take it up with the GM. She also completely ignored my questions about the keyboards. On top of that, she told me that if I was struggling with focus, I should remove my distractions. This was incredibly upsetting to hear. Not just because I didn't ask for her advice on how to manage my disability, but also because that is not how my illness works. At this point, I probably should have taken a step back, but I was frustrated. I sent an email to the GM explaining that I would like to use the bell because it prevents guests from wandering into employee-only areas or yelling to get my attention, and I would like it to be approved as a disability aid. I also made it clear that I do not appreciate Mary giving me unsolicited advice about my medical condition. GM responded harshly, demanding to know why I wasn't staying at the front desk, why I wasn't checking the cameras, and stating that the bell has never been allowed. She also asked why I didn't disclose my disability in my interview. This question shocked me. No employee is ever required to disclose a disability before being hired, unless it prevents them from performing their job duties. As a manager, she should know this. I reiterated that I wasn't required to disclose anything during my interview, and that my disability causes forgetfulness, which is not something I can control. I also stressed that I have never been told I am required to remain at the front desk for my entire shift. This has never been the case for me or anyone else I've worked night audit with. I also CC'd HR to ensure they were aware of everything. HR responded, saying if I wanted accommodations, I needed a doctor's note. However, they did not acknowledge GM's out-of-pocket request to know why I hadn't disclosed my disability. GM then denied ever asking me about my disability disclosure, despite it being right there in our email chain. She said I needed to respect Mary's authority since she has years of experience in the industry. On top of that, she said I was now required to remain at the front desk for my entire shift. Then, out of nowhere, she claimed that Mary had accused me of hooking my laptop up to the work monitors to play video games. This was completely false. Yes, I've used my laptop for games, but my previous manager explicitly told me that was allowed. I have never connected my laptop to the work computers. I told GM as much and reiterated that my frustration with Mary was due to her giving me unsolicited advice on how to manage my medical condition, not her experience as a manager. I also pointed out how weird it was that Mary never addressed this supposed workplace violation with me directly. If I had actually been doing something wrong, shouldn't she have discussed it with me first? I haven't received a response to this email, and it's been 3 weeks. At this point, I'm not sure what to do. Did I completely screw myself over? Should I just go ahead and get a doctor's note? If I do, should I even bother fighting for the stupid bell at this point? I still want my bell back, but it's not worth losing my job over. I have ADHD-related time blindness too. I use a 5233 vibrating traceable timer, which I've got set to count down from 15 minutes and then get my attention with a blinking light. It also has beeps and vibration, but I have them switched off. You do need an appropriate medical professional to send a letter to HR saying that you have a disability that requires X, Y, and Z, and that other tools to help you with attention-related issues, as needed, are medically necessary. And you probably want to give a copy to Mary and GM in case HR doesn't tell them. Also, if it's been a while since you got your diagnosis, your psychiatrist or whatever might have been operating under rules that made them choose either ADHD or autism. But it's possible to have both, and some of the ways you're hoping for management to respond seem familiar to me. Management tends not to put anything in email if they're not sure if it'll bite them in the butt later. This is a great idea. My phone timer just doesn't click for me for some reason, so I'll see how that works for me. I'm pretty sure it's just ADHD and not autism, just because I've never really struggled with social cues or emotional expression, but once I've been medicated for my ADHD for a while, I'm sure I'll start to see if I have anything else that raises alarm bells. Thank you. Can't you play games or whatever at the front desk? Why not just sit there the whole time? Then the bell controversy goes away. Not really. The desk is really small and can't really accommodate room for a laptop. And regardless, they don't want me to have my laptop out front. Now for the second update. I made a post here a while back about my manager taking away the bell I use at the front desk. Long story short, I like using the bell as it's an effective disability aid, and I was originally encouraged to use it. New management came in and said if I was caught using it again, disciplinary action would be taken. I told her it was a disability aid. She didn't care, so I took the issue to my GM, who began to grill me on why I hadn't disclosed my disability during my interview. Of course, she's not allowed to ask that. Legally, I'm not obligated to disclose, and she's not allowed to ask me to do so during the course of an interview. I CC'd HR in my response, explaining as much. However, nothing came of it, and eventually, the situation died down, though I still didn't get my bell back. However, apparently my email triggered a small investigation into the GM's behavior. Corporate began sniffing around and found that next to nothing in our hotel was compliant with corporate policy. And bonus money that should have been sent to front desk staff as a result of positive reviews mentioning them by name never actually made it to the staff. According to a co-worker of mine, the GM had to be escorted out of the building. I spoke with the new acting GM about everything, and he said he was excited to meet me because of the multiple glowing reviews he'd read that mentioned me by name. He's interested in equipping me with the skills to begin rising up the management ranks, and asked me to expand on things that would make my job easier. Among the many changes he's planning on implementing came my personal favorite bit of news. I got my bell back. I have ADHD. When I am hyper-focused, I tune out external sounds. I could imagine working in the back room and not realizing someone was calling. Usually, I am not as good at tuning out rare or unusual sounds, like a bell. Exactly this. I also feel it's just inappropriate to expect guests to holler to get my attention. While it was taken away, I had multiple guests walk into the back room to get my attention, which is startling and upsetting when you're in an employee-only area and expect it to be private. Girl, that's magic. I'm so happy for you and feel very humbled that I told you to run from that place. And was wrong. You have taught me something. Thank you. Oh, believe me, I was trying to run. Lol. I couldn't leave because I'm getting my health care through work and currently going through a lot of medical stuff. But I had been asking other hotels managed by the same company what they offered and if I'd be able to keep my current doctor if I were to get hired with them. Came into work today expecting to get lectured for having to call out sick last week. Instead, had a lovely chat with a new manager who wouldn't shut up about how personable I am for a night auditor. Last story. Employers, careful what you ask for. I'm an emergency physician. I work in emergency departments in hospitals. It's an interesting specialty in medicine, with different patients every day, except for the frequent flyers, but that's another story. Now, especially in the winter time, emergency departments are full of people, usually with long wait times, and we take people in order of severity, not first come first served. So, I'm at work and get a new patient. The chart says, needs a work note. I go into the cubicle and see a patient who is obviously ill. After 40 years of experience, I can size patients up pretty well from across the room. This woman was ill. Her vitals were not good. Fever of 102 degrees Fahrenheit, the works. The monitor shows her heart is okay, pulse is a little high, BP is a little low, high fever. Talking to her, she tells me she's got a cold. Now, I tend to appreciate it when patients just tell me the truth. She didn't claim to have COVID, pneumonia, anthrax, don't ask, or anything but a cold, which, being a virus, there's not a heck of a lot I can do for her. So I ask why she came in. Turns out she's been ill for 2 days. Her fever is actually down with her taking Tylenol and drinking fluids. No kidding. And her employer wants a doctor's note for more paid time off. This woman waited in the emergency department waiting room for, checks the record, 5.5 hours to get a goddamn note for work? Not her fault though, it's her employer's. So, I ask her how much time they will give her paid off. There's no limit, she said. I just need a doctor saying I need it. Got it. So, she went home with a lovely note giving her 2 weeks off with pay and instructions to return for additional time if she needs it to recover. I really hate employers that demand asinine notes like this. Fight the stupidity. Now for the top comments. I'm a physician in Brazil. Due to our labor laws, there's no absence for work without pay cut if you don't present a doctor's note. Some employers even demand ICD coding, which is unethical and abusive. I get a perverse pleasure when I can justify giving a longer leave to honest patients, together with a copy of the jurisprudence and how to talk firmly to the HR representative that they got no right to demand to know what the patient is on medical leave for. I can literally just text my doctor's office. I have a persistent cold and my 2 days of self-declaring is up. Need a note? My symptoms are ... And then I'll get a note within a few hours mailed electronically. If I claim to need a month, the doc would probably want to see me, but not for minor things. Well played. It's nice to see a doctor who really cares about patients. I have met a ton of physicians, and they all have patients as their #1 priority. They all hate how much money drives medicine and medical innovation, and all of them were willing to help however they could, if it meant more access to care and better treatments were available.